Have you ever rewatched Family Guy and felt something was off? Not the jokes, but just somehow everything looks different. Well, don't worry, you're not imagining it. Because these are the moments when Family Guy didn't just change its jokes, it changed how it looked. Forever. To really see how far Family Guy has come, we have to rewind to when it was still figuring itself out. We're going chronologically, from the rough, awkward beginnings to the polished chaos fans recognize today. Seasons 1 and 2, 1999 to 2001. When Family Guy first aired, it wasn't the confident, cutaway-fueled machine fans know today. It was quite a nervous newcomer. Fox wasn't fully sold on the show, budgets were tight, and cancellation was always looming. The animation reflected that uncertainty. Characters moved cautiously, scenes played out in wide, static shots, and visual ambition took a backseat to simply getting episodes finished on time. There was very little room for experimentation, and it shows in how carefully and sometimes awkwardly everything unfolds on screen. This is why early episodes often feel slower and heavier than expected. The jokes land, but the world around them feels oddly restrained. So what exactly made those first seasons look and move so differently? The answer is limitation. Movement is choppy, with characters snapping between poses rather than flowing naturally. Facial expressions are minimal, forcing emotions to be explained through dialogue instead of animation. Framing stays static, rarely punching in for emphasis or chaos, and the characters themselves feel oddly weighted, like gravity is working overtime. Because the visuals couldn't carry the humor yet, the show leaned heavily on conversations, cutaway concepts, and Seth MacFarlane's voice work to sell the comedy. It wasn't polished, but it was functional, and a foundation was laid in real time. This wasn't failure, it was simply Family Guy learning how to exist. Season 4, 2005. By the time Family Guy returned for Season 4, everything had changed. The show wasn't resurrected out of mercy, it was dragged back by demand. DVD sales exploded, Adult Swim reruns pulled massive numbers, and Fox suddenly realized it had nearly thrown away a hit. With a larger budget and something far more valuable than money, confidence, Family Guy came back louder, faster, and visually bolder. This was no longer a show begging to stay alive. It was a show daring you to keep up. And you can feel it instantly. Season 4 doesn't just resume, it reboots. So why does this era feel like a full creative rebirth rather than a continuation? Because the animation finally breathes. Movement becomes smooth and elastic, with characters reacting instead of resetting. Facial acting sharpens dramatically with eyes widening, mouths stretching, and expressions selling jokes before the punchline even lands. Pacing accelerates, cutting dead air and snapping from beat to beat with confidence. Most importantly, cutaways finally feel intentional. They crash in hard, end fast, and visually escalate the joke instead of interrupting it. This is the moment Family Guy realizes animation isn't just decoration, it's weaponry. The show stops explaining itself and starts performing. And this is when Family Guy realizes it's not disposable anymore. Seasons 6 to 9, 2007 to 2011. By seasons 6 through 9, Family Guy had stopped trying to be subtle, and the animation followed suit. The comedy got louder, faster, and far more aggressive, leaning heavily into shock humor and visual absurdity. The show wasn't just telling jokes anymore, it was also daring the audience to keep up. At this point, realism became optional because the priority was escalation, and animation was the fastest way to get there. This is the era where viewers start asking a strange question. When did Family Guy stop caring about how faces are supposed to move or how bodies are supposed to work? The answer is deliberately. The mouths stretched far beyond anatomy, eyes bulged and snapped, and entire faces warped to sell a single reaction. Characters bend, squash, and recoil under cartoon physics that ignore gravity, bone structure, and common sense. Visual gags begin replacing traditional setup. Sometimes the joke is the face, the scream, or the impossible motion. It's faster, louder, and undeniably memorable. But this shift split the fan base. Some call this peak Family Guy, unrestrained, hyper-expressive, and fearless. Others argue it's where subtlety quietly died, buried under stretched jaws and elastic rage. Either way, the show commits fully. There's no hesitation, no halfway measure, just visual chaos turned into a defining style. Quick pause, love our Family Guy deep dives, then make sure to hit subscribe and stay tuned as we break down every era from early chaos to rubberface madness. Season 9 onwards, 2010 onwards. Starting with Season 9, Family Guy stepped into the HD era. Widescreen format, sharper resolution, and smoother animation transformed every frame. Industry standards were changing, and so was the show. The detail was crisp, the colors brighter, and every movement looked effortless. But with technical polish came an unexpected side effect. The chaos that once defined Family Guy now had borders. The animation was perfect, almost clinical, and yet something felt off. Why did the show suddenly feel sterile? Like the edges of the humor had been softened along with the visuals. The difference hits in every scene. Characters glide instead of bounce. The facial expressions are precise but less elastic, and the action flows smoothly rather than snapping violently. Colors pop in a way that highlights HD detail, but diminishes the rough charm of earlier eras. Cutaways did land efficiently, but lacked the raw punch of pre-HD chaos. Even framing leans towards sitcom conventions, the camera rarely wanders. The chaos is contained, and visual gags are polished to near perfection. The jokes still hit, but the feel is safer, cleaner, almost sanitized. Throughout its run, Family Guy has occasionally abandoned its standard animation style for special effects. Whether it's Disney-inspired musicals, anime parodies, silent film sequences, or even exaggerated cutaways, these style breaks aren't accidents. They're deliberate choices, showcasing the animator's skill while giving fans a visual treat. Each shift highlights a different genre, tone, or joke structure, proving the team can bend the medium without breaking it. But are these changes just flashy gimmicks, or are they evidence of true mastery? The answer is clear. Every stylistic deviation is intentional, carefully crafted to serve the joke or story beat. Facial expressions, movement, and pacing shift seamlessly to fit the genre being referenced. The audience may momentarily forget they're watching Family Guy, but that's the point. The immersion breaks deliberately to land a punchline or homage. These experiments demonstrate control, precision, and confidence, reminding viewers that bending or breaking the animation rules only works when you understand them fully. It's chaos on purpose, structured unpredictability that elevates a visual gag from funny to brilliant. After all, you can only break the rules once you've mastered them. Season 16 till present, 2017 till present. With over 15 seasons under its belt, Family Guy now operates with institutional confidence. Budgets are secure, animation pipelines are streamlined, and the crew knows exactly what works for the audience. This long-running stability allows for visually perfect episodes, but it also brings restraint. There's less experimentation, fewer spontaneous chaos moments, and almost no risk in how characters move or react. Yet something feels different. Why does modern Family Guy sometimes seem posed, like it's holding back instead of leaping into absurdity? The difference lies in the animation itself. Line work is flawless and the colors are clean and vivid. Character expressions are controlled, almost clinical, with every gesture calculated. The slapstick chaos that once defined fight sequences or cutaways is now often tamed, toned down to ensure nothing looks wrong in HD. Visual gags still exist, but they're staged with each punchline framed carefully rather than erupting spontaneously. Even background details feel safer, with fewer surprises in lighting or perspective. The show remains funny, sharp, and entertaining, but the raw unpredictability of earlier eras has been smoothed out. Across its decades-long run, Family Guy's animation shifts weren't random experiments in style. Each evolution mirrored the show's writing, humor, and production context. Early seasons' rough, awkward animation reflected tentative storytelling and low budgets. The rubberface era exploded alongside louder, shock-driven comedy. HD polish arrived when the show needed to feel safe, structured, and visually consistent for a long-running audience. But why does this matter? It's easy to admire visual flair alone, but the real story is how animation supported survival. Could Family Guy have thrived with perfect animation from the start? Or did each style allow the writing to breathe in just the right way? The answer is clear. Animation adapted to writing, never the other way around. Rough frames let experimental humor stumble into brilliance. Rubber faces carried audacious shock gags that dialogue alone couldn't deliver. Polished HD restrained visual chaos to match safer jokes. Each era's look wasn't about vanity. It was about supporting survival, timing, and tone. Animation didn't change randomly. It adapted to survive. Family Guy didn't evolve visually to look better. It evolved to last. Animation isn't just background. It's the lens through which we experience comedy. Every era of Family Guy reshaped not only how characters move, but how jokes land. Fans may long for early chaos, rubber face madness, or HD polish, but each shift served a purpose, whether it was survival, timing, or impact. Nostalgia can blur the edges, but noticing the changes reveals how deliberate and clever the team has been all along. Family Guy didn't just change how it told jokes, it changed how the joke looked when it hit. Which Family Guy animation era do you miss the most? The messy early chaos, the wild rubber face days, or the polished modern look? Let us know below. And if you enjoyed this, make sure to check out our video on the darkest episodes of Family Guy.